Hello wonderful human beings, Sheldon Evans here, and in today's video I'll be showing you guys how you can give your videos more of a cinematic feel with the help of camera movement. Let's jump right into it. I've spoken about a few different ways in the past that you can make your videos look more cinematic, such as adding a cinema-like color grade to your video, cropping it to that 16:9 or cinema-like aspect ratio. But one thing I've never really spoken about is camera movement. But why is it so important, and why is it so easily overlooked? Well, the reason is that good camera movement should go unnoticed and not distract you from the story that's being told. Nerdwriter has an excellent video on this titled How David Fincher Hijacks Your Eyes, and he discusses the subtle camera moves that Fincher puts into play to instead not distract you from the story, but pull you in even closer and evoke more emotion. The less distracting a camera move is, the more effective it becomes, and it'll pull your viewer in and let them feel that emotion. They'll feel that push in and pull out and that subtle side-to-side movement. Being strategic and intentional with your camera moves will add a level of production to your videos that nothing you do in post-production will even come close to. So let's talk about some different types of camera moves. First, you have the good old slider shot, which is the side-to-side movement of the camera. The dolly shot, which is the forward and backward movement, and then jib or crane shots, which are the up and down or raising and lowering style shots of your camera, which in the past used to require a ton more gear, but these days you can use something like a drone to achieve the exact same effect. Now, in professional filmmaking, it requires a lot of gear to achieve these shots and get steady, stable shots, but they really aren't all that necessary for the stuff that you want to create. You can pretty much nail every single one of these camera moves with nothing other than yourself, a tripod, and your camera. So let's go over a couple tricks, hacks if you will, that you can use to really make the most of the gear and the camera equipment that you have. Let's talk about stability and stable handheld footage. Firstly, you don't want to have your camera just directly in front of you with both of your hands, because your hands are very shaky even though you might not think that. Ideally, you want to have 3 points of contact with your camera, and if you're just using your hands, you only have 2. So try putting your camera strap around your neck and pulling it taut with your hands. Now you have 3 points of contact, your hands and your neck. So always try and have 3 or more points of contact with your camera. Even if you're using something like a viewfinder or a shoulder rig, you'll always have 3 points. Now there's nothing really wrong with shaky or handheld footage, especially if that's the look you're going for. Maybe you're shooting an action sequence or you're going for that sort of first person point of view style shot. But there's a difference between that annoying jitter in your image and a really natural looking handheld shot. Next up is accentuating subtle camera moves. Now that you know how to get stable handheld footage, it's time to add some movement to those shots. There's a few things that you can do to really accentuate the smaller movements that you make with your camera. Because of your hands, you can't really move that much with your body without introducing too much shake, so you can try some of these things to help that. Having 2 different planes or a foreground and a background will make those smaller movements look more significant, because you'll have things moving past or in front of the lens, giving off the illusion of a larger movement. You can do this for push-pull movements or even moving side to side from behind an object and having something move past the lens. Next up is using your tripod. Beginner video work usually involves setting up a tripod and just plopping your camera on top of it. And it's not that tripod shots don't have their place, but when you think of more dynamic camera movements, you think of more professional, even Hollywood style productions. Now, we're probably not creating Hollywood movies, but we want to find a happy medium between the two so that we can use the tripod or the gear that we have to create more dynamic looking moves. A lot of the time a simple pan or tilt will work, but what I like to do is extend 2 of the legs of my tripod and use the 3rd leg as a handle. Now you can start with your camera low down and pull back to create a sort of revealing shot and introduce your viewers to the scene. You can even create a jib or crane style shot if your tripod has a tilt head. If you release the lock on the tilt, you can raise your camera and pull it back while keeping it level to create something like this. Now if you don't have a tripod, you could use a piece of string, which in some cases works even better than having a tripod. Attach it to your camera and stand on the 2 ends with your legs shoulder width apart. Now you have a makeshift tripod that fits in your pocket. Finally, I've got a bonus tip for you, and that is adding digital camera movements. If you've already shot your footage or want to create the illusion that there's more camera movement than there actually is, you can try adding digital camera moves in post-production. For example, let's accentuate the push movement in this clip. What you'll do is drag the clip onto your timeline, head on over to the effects panel, move to the beginning of your clip, toggle the scale animation, move to the end of your clip and change the scale to something like 110%, and now play it back. Now you'll see that the movement is a lot more significant, and you can do this with the precision sliders as well if you want to add up and down or side to side movements to your footage. Be aware though that you will be losing some resolution here because you're scaling the footage. So if you can shoot at something higher than 1080p like 4K, then do that instead. But if not, I wouldn't suggest going above about 115 or 120% when scaling your footage. And that's it. I hope you guys liked the video. If you did like the video, don't forget to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you want to see more videos like this in the future. I upload all the time, and as always, I shall see you in the next video. Cheers.